Hi, I'm Danny and I will be doing my February, March, and April wrap-up. January and February were completely weird months for me. January, I really didn't read anything, as you see in my last wrap-up. February, I read absolutely nothing, and March, I read some things. So let's get into those books that I did read, and the ones that I kind of sort of didn't finish. So the first book that I finished in February was Sex Criminals, and as I said in my last wrap up, at that point I wasn't really enjoying this book, and it pretty much continued the same way through the entire book. I got to the point where they met each other, they got together, and time froze and they robbed banks. And then these other people were after them, and it kept jumping back and forth from present to past so quickly that I almost couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. One second they were in the bank trying to fight their way out, and then the next thing she was in a car, and then they were back in the bank, and then she was on the street. And I was like, wait, what the heck is going on? It took me like at least 3 time jumps to figure out it's going from past to future, because there was really no indication of it whatsoever. And when it flashed to when she was a little girl and things started happening for her, I was kind of like, wait, who's this person? She kind of looks like her. Is it her daughter or is it her? It took a while for me to get that they were time jumps. And I gave this a 2-star rating, and that was being a bit generous. The art was very nice. The story needs some work, and I don't think I'm going to pick up number 2 anytime soon, if I ever do. Next book I tried to read but did not finish was Darkness Becomes Her. This is a story about a girl named Ari, I think? Ari, yeah! So this is a book about a girl named Ari who was adopted by this family when she was younger. It starts out with her trying to find out about her birth mother, who she has been able to track down to after she gave her for adoption, went into an insane asylum, and then killed herself. And as she's leaving the asylum, she gets attacked by this guy, and it's pretty weird. And then she ends up finding this letter that her mother wrote to her, and then she goes to the town her mother tells her in the letter never to go to. And I just couldn't read beyond that point. So I will pick this up at a later date, but it just wasn't what I was looking for at the moment. The next book I again tried to read in, I think this was by this time it was late February, early March. And that is the first book in the Illuminate Chronicles? Illuminate Files. I tried to read this once before and I wasn't very interested. And I pretty much got to about the same part and I couldn't really, actually I didn't remember anything that happened in the book this time. So I started from page 1 again, and it just, again, wasn't what I was looking for. There was action, but I guess maybe the way the story was told, because it's told from like interviews and case files and stuff, it just wasn't what I was looking for at the moment. So I had to DNF this too. The next book is the book that really started bringing me out of my reading slump. It was so good. Like I said, Greek mythology normally brings me out of reading slumps. And I tried Darkness Becomes Her and it wasn't there for me. But this book was perfect. I was very skeptical going into this book because I've never read one of her books before, but I have 5 of her books. Don't ask me how that happened. I really honestly could not tell you. But that is Goddess of Spring by P.C. Cass. I've heard good things about this author. You know, she wrote the House of Night series, and then I found out that she had this series. So this was I think this is the first book of hers that I picked up. I don't honestly remember, but it was so good. This is about a girl named Lena, I believe, and she owns this bakery called the String of the Goddess, I think. I can't remember what its actual name is in Italian, but that's what translates out to be. And so her bakery is starting to fail. While her bakery is pretty popular, it's just not doing everything she needs it to and is hoping for. And she knows she's going to have to make some changes if she's going to keep her bakery and her employees. So she ends up finding this cookbook for goddesses and ends up summoning the goddess Demeter? I can't remember how you pronounce her name. And the goddess offers her a choice. You know, I will send my daughter Persephone to your bakery in your body, and you will go into her body, and because the underworld needs a goddess to help it flourish, the spirits aren't completely happy. They need a goddess as kind of a mother figure. So if you go to Hades for 6 months, it really won't seem like that long because time moves differently in the underworld. My daughter will go to your bakery and it will flourish beyond your wildest dreams. So she's very skeptical at first, but she ends up agreeing, knowing the myths that are behind Hades and Persephone, Demir's daughter, Persephone. You know, Hades, Persephone, he supposedly kidnapped her and her mother made a deal. You know, she'll spend 6 months down there, but then for the months of spring, she has to come back on Earth so she can help bring spring to the world. And Linda ends up falling for Hades, and Hades falls right back. And Hades is he's kind of like that guy. He tries going out with girls, but they're all kind of bubbly and airheads, and they really don't do relationships. So meeting her is like a breath of fresh air to him, and their relationship was so cute and so perfect. And it wasn't insta-lovey. I was expecting insta-love, but it definitely was not. Definitely instant attraction, but not insta-love. So if you have not read this book or this series, I definitely recommend it. All the books in this series are companion novels, so if this book itself doesn't interest you, you could try one of the other ones and still not be spoiled for anything if you chose to read one of the other books later on. So I really, really love this one. I gave this one a 4.7, and I am looking forward to reading more books from this series and this author. And the next book, I have been kind of putting this book off for a while. I don't honestly know why. I picked it up maybe 3 different times and I just kept putting it back down. And that is Yolo Juliet by William Shakespeare and Brent White. This is basically William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Everything that happens in the book happens in here, but it's told in text and emojis. And here's a look at it for you. I have to give this one a 3-star rating, and that's kind of being generous because it lost a lot of its romance and emotion, because while it is still set in Verona in like, I honestly don't know what year Romeo and Juliet is based. I read it in high school, I think. It was a required reading thing, but I did like it. I just can't remember what year it was. But either way, it lost a lot of its emotion and romance because it's told in modern speak. So still insta-love, which I did not like in the first book because I thought it was just way too quick. I mean, guys, you're 13. Come on. I mean, I think Juliet is 13 and Romeo's 16 or something like that. But either way, it was just way too fast, and because of the modern speak, it lost a whole lot of the romance, and I'm honestly sad to see it go, but I did enjoy it. It was okay, but I am looking forward to seeing the rest of this book from the series. And the next book, Glooms of Legend, and this one is actually not quite the same as the last one. I was expecting something similar, but this one, while similar things happened, this one is set in Camelot. This is about a girl named Isabel? Yes, it is about a girl named Isabel, and she is a photographer, and she just kind of wants something, you know, new to happen in her life. She wants to fall in love and just have something exciting happen to her. And on her way driving home, she crashes into a lake. So Isabel is sent back to Camelot to seduce Lancelot away from Queen Guinevere so that Arthur does not get heartbroken and his kingdom doesn't crumble. And she gets there, and Lancelot is just not interested in her at all. There's no spark. She does everything. She does everything to try and grab his eye, but the only thing she can think about is being with Arthur, and the only thing Arthur can think about is being with her. So not only does she help him through his a heartache, not only because he knows that his wife, who he is actually kind of still in love with, is in love with his best friend, but he's also kind of trying to protect them. So she helps him along with that, you know, tell her that you know, but tell her she's got to keep this a secret because horrible things could happen to her if she doesn't. And it was very good. Didn't love it as much as Goddess of Spring though. While I gave Goddess of Spring a 4.7, I have to give this one probably a 3.2. So it went down a bit, but I still did enjoy this. The romance was definitely heartfelt, same as in Goddess of Spring. And I'm definitely liking PC Cast writing, and I'm glad I have her other books too, because I definitely want to read those soon. That is my February and March wrap up. And as I said, in January I really mainly read fan fiction, so I will link all those fan fictions below that were my absolute favorites. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!